Very interesting. And now let's go and somewhere at the background we should see questions. I will go to production site and I will just check it out. And let's ask some questions. Until then, oh, it was so many of you presented. That was really, really long and beautiful day. And I see all the speakers happy, and even firefighters and fire protection. That was so funny. It's really the most important thing is that we burn down according to the regulations. I really enjoyed this presentation. Okay, so again, we have some comments of political character, but we are apolitical because I can say whatever I want. I'm just a host, but careful about the chairs on the edge of the chairs on the edge of the stage, so that you don't end up like Holiak. Holiak is one of our politicians who is really, rude and arrogant. So this is who the host is criticizing. The first question is, how did you feel, under the heading of iCARI here with us? How did you enjoy it? And we can start straight from the left. I felt great. We had a great pool of speakers, and it was very interesting. I couldn't be all day long, but I was watching the stream, and I'm very happy we put together such a group. Everybody, each speaker was from different branch, so we could exchange the knowledge, because usually these conventions are focused on construction, and then the four people talk about the same thing in circles. I felt at home. That's great, and you have a pretty big home. I usually, at the conferences, I meet with bankers and financiers. So it was great to meet people who make the projects that we finance. Teenager Hugo. What? How did you feel? I wanted to thank to Branyo and to Janko and to the rest of the team that organized this conference, and I'm proud of them, and I'm also proud of you that we do international things, that we have simultaneous translation that we have here, and this is nice. This is showing nicely that we can do global things, that we are not less than other countries. Thank you for the opportunity, and fingers crossed so that it flows as easy, as nicely as it has been started, very wisely. So Johann Wolfgang Goethe, he said that, the youth of ours, you are holding the morning, and I really hope we will have more young people like that. It's difficult for me to tell you anything because I'm also the organizer. Yeah, but you also were a speaker. No, I felt, in operating mood. And I think that we will also produce a questionnaire, and we will be happy if you provide us with your constructive feedback. So we will be happy if you give us some, ideas what to improve, maybe what kind of topics to add or what else to improve. So we will still say our goodbyes later. So what about other people? What about the rest of you? How did you feel? I felt very well, very good. I would also like to thank to Branyo and Jana for their invitation and also for them organizing the event. And I would like to note one thing. My colleague said that we keep meeting in a bubble, at some conferences, in the green conferences. These events help to spread, to expand this bubble. So thank you. And also, again, interconnection is something that we have wanted. So I'm here in representation, but I'm representing Tomáš Guniš, and he said that he felt very, very well, very good. Me personally, I will just continue what Miro Marko said. I had a feeling, or I have a feeling, that we still live in bubble and we constantly speak to the same people. And thanks to this kind of events, we can expand the bubble. And on the other side, there are people watching the stream, and they will be spreading out this thing. Yeah, we are opening this topic. I felt excellent. Thank you to Braňo and to Jano that we, on behalf of Wooden Constructions, could participate here. Thank you. Confirming that I felt great. The hosting was great. The introduction was also great. I was even, blushing a bit. And hats off. I would just repeat it. And 3 weeks ago, I visited or attended the conference, other conference, technological, and it was different because that was highly, narrow profession, and the guys. There was just the guys, and this is a different atmosphere, and the people that start to do this thing that is improving the thing or adapting the world. They are all very pleasant, very nice, and it's great because we are not going to wait for what they order us to do from the European Union, but we do the things because we want to do it, because we like it, and it's even faster than to wait for someone who regulates it or who determines it. So I feel great. For me, the conference was great. It was perfect. I'm still within my bubble of fire protection. We are just going around the circles of burning out or burning down according to regulations or directives. So I just jumped from my bubble to your bubble, and it was perfect. And I had a great feeling of us interconnecting, my bubble of fire protection today. And all day long, I've been listening to the topics that are so closely connected with this topic. So I'm very happy. Thank you for the invitation. I need to admit, I was one of the last speakers. I came quite late, and I came with a migraine, and it dissipated slowly. Yeah, you don't need to thank us. We are also healers. Thank you very much for this summary. We also need a feedback, especially Jano and Braňo, who really put some work into that. And please, here you go. You can do your thank yous. I would like to thank to all invisible team. Evie, can you please show your face? Because without Eva, it wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't exist. Milan, please stand up. Without you, it would also not be possible when it comes to competition. I would like to thank to all our partners, sponsors that helped us to bring this conference for the third year, the company of Corvin, the company of VUB, and that are our partners. Other partners, who did I forgot, Eva, so that I don't make mistake? Liko S. I'm sorry, my apologies, because I don't have everything in my head. I would like to thank to all our media partner and to all of you. A huge thank you to all of you and to all our partners. And thank you, our host, without whom the atmosphere wouldn't be possible. And also thank you to our board of directors, Miro, Luboš, and I don't know who else, Vlado. Please stand up so that you are seen visible as a member of our board. And I, as a host, I also would like to mention the sound people, and as a producer, be it in the radio or television, I usually thank to the team that is invisible. So cameras, sound, lighting, all of that. This is everybody who is setting up the things beforehand, and also interpreters. Interpreters are also the soul of this event. So thank you, ladies. And last but not least, I don't know how this debate will last. We have a couple of questions, and I'm having again my philosophical idea. Mr. Marco, don't you need a new profession? There is a profession of environmentalist who would need to be in teams for these topics. We just need a closer cooperation between the branches. Thank you for the question. I would start to answer it from the backwards. Yes, we need a narrow, closer cooperation between the branches, between the fields. What we lack in Slovakia in the design phase is interdisciplinary connection. The active cooperation of these fields in Slovakia. In a design phase, there is the law of falling, I think, appendix. Whatever is just falling something and getting, gaining more and more on gravity while it's falling. So it means that various professions are just pushing or throwing the hot potato to each other. And then when everything is being designed, the last of the profession wants to have the medal or to all the accolades. And what we need is integrated design phase, meaning that in a design phase, straight from the beginning, people meet, all of them meet, and everybody gives their input and the new concept, the new ideas, what they would like to consider in the project. So yes, we need closer cooperation between the fields, absolutely, or professions. And now the question. Yes, we have a profession of environmentalist. This is about the assessing of the impact on the environment, which is about the mitigation, but there it is already in the name of environmental assessment. This is the assessment of the impact on the environment. And because the time was short, this new profession or this kind of architect that takes over a different responsibility is about him assessing the risks, the security or the safety, also the impact of the climate change on the user. He will also consider the environment or the surrounding quality, be it indoor or outdoor. And certification schemes that come from the European Union, and they need to be clear about that as well. And I think that the question came after my presentation. So how the architecture relates to ESG? Very simply, we need to realize that the various certification schemes and funding, they are slowly getting into funding of the buildings, into the benefits with green mortgages or credits. And does the architect want to be the one who designs the building? Then it goes through design and approval process. And then when it gets to funding, does the architect wants the client to come back to him and say that if you did it differently, I would have faster or whatever bigger money? No, architect doesn't want that. And architect is bound by some ethical protocol. And we need, the architects, some architects to devote more attention to that, because not everybody can do that. Not every architect can do that. So, next question. 1,000 years we are building from wood, but the majority of buildings is not of wood. If we build exclusively from wood, we would hit the deforestation impacts. Any balance in that? I don't agree with having the majority buildings from the wood. Yeah, maybe in Sweden, and they still have forests. And yesterday I heard about another statistics when they mentioned Sweden, that they have more trees than 200 years before, and the construction is growing, or actually the construction is now more robust than in the past. Another example for you to remember, many people, during Christmas you have Christmas tree, and these are millions of people, and you have your Christmas tree every year. So how come we still have Christmas trees? So there are some nurseries. There are some nurseries or planting nurseries, and they go through some couple of year cycles. And the wood is something we can grow. We can plant and grow, and that's all about it. And of course, there is also secondary use. We can also burn it, but firefighters and ecologists would definitely say no. Next question, Mr. Kolas or Mr. Gunish, what do you think about the synergy of cannabis concrete and wooden construction? I don't really know cannabis concrete, so I will answer in a broader way. So any wooden construction not only has positive things, and some things must be dealt with through a different technology. I would specify the cannabis concrete can be beneficial in producing floors, for the accumulating effect and for the acoustics. It gives mass to the wooden construction, and we need mass in wooden construction. And in my presentation, you could see the construction in Vienna. That is the combination of concrete and wooden, and it's very normal that this combination exists, and it doesn't matter if it's concrete or cannabis concrete. And now the host. Why in football match? Because whoever doesn't like Netherlands would be fan of other team. Okay, why Jamaica cannot play with, I don't know, Trinidad and Tobago, because Jamaicans would smoke lots of weed and they would destroy the lines on the football pitch. So next question, Mr. Siklinka. The question is for you. Where lies the maintenance of green roofs, regular or infrequent, in order to secure their functionality? It's considering the coefficient of greenery. So I didn't have enough. KZAT is a climate change. So we are talking about functionality. We need to differentiate what kind of roof we are taking care. If we talk about basic extensive roofs, so there is like 10-15 centimeters, we need to deny the information that it's without maintenance, because the house, or no roof, no house, is without maintenance. So 2-3 times per year to take the weed off and to fertilize it a bit. Sometimes these sedums can also live without fertilizer, but if you fertilize it, they are more resilient. And in case of the hot summers that we've been having, in the recent years, it's good to irrigate them from time to time. It's not on a daily basis, but maybe 5, 7, 8 times per year. Depends on the year. We cannot, generalize it. Some of them have thick leaves that are more resilient. So this is the basic maintenance with intensive roofs. For example, we have Nivi, or we have a green roof at the central shopping mall. This is a classic maintenance as you do with the garden. And then we have semi-intensive, where we have perennials and grass. You cut them. Usually you don't fertilize them, according to my information, depending on the composition, because we also have, flowering meadows, flowers and herbal. So it's really type specific. But 90% of the roofs must be done twice per year. Additional question: how long is the roof functional without you getting into the substrate? What is your experience? What does it mean, interfere with substrate? Well, for example, if you have smaller heights of substrate, the wind can take it, can blow it out. From one lecture, I remember that the roof was functional for 8 years only with regular maintenance. Then they needed to all do it anew, to put it away and make it anew. So if the roof is well composed, what kind of experience do you have? I don't know if you have such experience. Yeah, well, I would need to start at 20. I don't know what is your experience at Corvin. It's difficult for me to talk about the specific roof because there are X factors, the number of factors that influence it. My experience of my roof is that, on my roof, I didn't take care of it and there was too much weed, so I needed to redo it. But if the external conditions don't change, there is nothing specific to change. So we need to also specify what kind of roof it was, what kind of composition, what is the climate condition. So there is no general answer to that, because if we look in climate model in Bratislava, we have 20-year model of historic precipitations, and in 20 years we didn't grow in precipitation. We have usually the same volume of precipitation. But what increases are the peaks. Suddenly you have a 60 millimeter of precipitation in 2 hours, and then you just see how cars are trying to canoe their way across Bratislava, and suddenly they cannot do it. So this is the problem. We can do the things in a way that we used to. Okay, we cannot. Yeah, we actually need to try a new manner how to do the thing. So that's why. Well, I don't want to defend us, but I can't say why that roof lasted only 8 years that you mentioned. But sometimes, yeah, these things happen as well, and it's very unpleasant when it happens, especially, for example, you are having a meeting at the municipality in Košice, and they showed me a couple of square meters of, brown roof that used to be a green one. And yeah, but I didn't have a crystal ball to answer the question, so I didn't know. I would have some remark based on my experience. Part of my house is digged under the surface. Yeah, so the roof of the the roof of my bedroom is part of the yard. Yeah, and I just 15 years ago I just put the same soil that I had in my yard. It's been functioning for 15 years. it's hard as heck, but and I did it really in a very basic manner. So I'm just thinking, if my roof has been done in a very basic manner and it's lasted for 15 years, what would need to happen, with a regular roof that was made in a green manner? So Igor, how are you calculating the capacity of water retention so that it's sufficient? I would like to address also the previous question. We have different roofs, different projects. The oldest one is 10 years old and it's still there. But the most important thing is that someone is, weeding it. Someone takes out the weeds, someone fertilizes it. So the maintenance is important, so that there is also regular irrigation. At the beginning, we also started to do it. Well, okay, it's green roofs somewhere in Germany. You don't need to irrigate it because they have regular rain. But we need to admit that we have different climate conditions and they keep changing. And one of the biggest problem is that we have very long periods of drought and high temperatures, and that's when we need to take care of the roof, and this is the key problem. If we don't take care, everything will just burn down, and you can not burn down but burn, and then you can do the new one. And after him.
Many experts will advise you what is correct, and after years you find out that there is a lot of weeds or it's like died out. And here it is still kind of trying, and because we don't know what is going to happen in 12 or to 10 to 20 years, but within like 10 years maybe we can say what works with some small maintenance. Okay, I got the most difficult question. This retention of water, there are 4 jobs related to that. None of those is mine, but there are standards that are updated each year regarding how much precipitation is there at a certain territory, and what is the critical point, what is the upper limit of the precipitation, and then there must be some solutions applied. Hydrogeologists have to calculate what we should get ready for, what is the solution and what is the form, because they have different ones. There are ones with a lot of gravel, and this is like for quick absorption. Then there are rain gardens which have bigger retention. We want water to be kept there and to be a part of a landscape, so we don't know what is efficient or effective, because everywhere it's something else. If you are in the old town here in Bratislava, something else will be effective on the hill and something else near the river. So there are jobs that can calculate it, but to a certain extent it's also just trying and seeing what works. And the water retention and permeability, there is a high chance that the climate conditions going to change within few years, and always be ready for the most radical scenario of floods or rainfall. There are 2 approaches. One is Americans. They projected for 100-year water, and the south they have some disasters every year. There is a hurricane and floods there, and then there are Dutch. They calculate our project for 1,000 or 10,000 water, and then they can always handle the conditions, and they do not get flooded. And I would like this question to be answered by Hugo: how to inspire grocery stores to get these green roofs? Again, please, I don't understand. You said a nice story that you addressed Mr. Antala, and you asked them, do you want to have the first road map from cigarette butts, and then you came to Strabag. So what would you say would be the story, the motivating story for the shops to get green roofs? I think the nice example is our park, what I heard. It's not a grocery store, it's a shopping mall. I mean, this is what they mean. I think those big buildings in the middle of the city. So this can be inspiring. But tell me your way, how did you achieve that? Well, how? I mean, I have said my story already, and I said I want to be first, and people always want to be with the successful ones. People always want to be with outperforming ones, with those who are good at something. And when we have changed as a company, we used to be, as a society we have changed. We used to be consumer society, and now we wanted to have, and now we want to belong. We buy things that make us become something. Maybe you know the brand Patagonia. They sell things for hiking, and they don't say that it's great to have this jacket. They say that when you buy this jacket, you become somebody. You support something. You declare your values. So how to inspire them? Maybe just by telling them who they can become and where this can lead if they implemented this solution. Okay, and so there was some commercial in this discussion. What about you? Well, they are motivated by themselves already, because there is this ESG. So it works. I mean, it's like an avalanche. You don't have to be worried. It's all good, because we know examples of many shopping centers having green roofs, and they take it as their benefit. And when we mentioned our park, we talked to investors today. It's a Czechoslovak project. This was put together by Czechs and Slovaks. And we say, like, that's a status. We put a lot of money into it, and it's a huge facade, like the biggest one of the biggest ones. And now our visitors are 30 plus, and they want to be surrounded by green stuff, and that's what we want to show. We want to go ahead. We want to meet them on the way. So this is the generation that requires that. They want it themselves. So you just need to hit the right string, and when you hit 10 times, at least 2 times you will be successful. Twice you will be successful. So this is something which is unstoppable. It's already running. And one more word regarding, there was this question, the beetles in the green facade, what to do with it, or the watering, or this kind of stuff, how to change it because it's a natural product. I think we have enough of that lazy well-being, because to do everything in simple way, it's not a solution. We know that construction business, a plant and tree, it used to be like water and a fire. It was like a very complicated relation, and now we know that we need to be close to nature. And we know that if there is some mold in the garden or in the lawn, I mean, you just do it. It's part of it. The technologies are ready. You just need to educate or bring up the engineers who will use those technologies in a correct way. And then the risk is really minimum one. Regarding the beetles in green facades, we have those in a facade, and there are no beetles. There are birds, there are bees, and there is balance. when it was like metal, there was no bird flying around. Our motivation was that we built a small house in dry Moravian landscape, and it was like with thought that, and there was like a lot of mosquitoes. There were a lot of mosquitoes, just like in Greece. You come to Greece and there are plenty of mosquitoes because it's so dry there. And all the water which we evaporate to pond, I mean, there are birds. They start to they stay there, and we have no mosquitoes. And one great ability of the nature is that you just give a little bit to it, and it will return. It will be returned to you multiplied. So I mean, this is how it works. Of course, it does. Very nice what you said in your presentation. We are just plants, just like trees, and we should go back to nature. So we will have this English question because this one is for you. I will try to represent Jost. Jost was showing us very nice example that we are also doing, and we will watch what's going to happen within our research, and that's completely different way of using photovoltaics from the assembly point of view to be on the roofs together with greenery. And we have to understand that the market defines for how much you will supply the electricity to the grid, and as long as, or if there has been a trend, and this year it was very much visible, that during summer, when there are rush hours on the noon, we have a huge we have negative prices, so the producers actually pay for it, for the supplies. And Jost showed a very nice thing we are already doing, to build the photovoltaic panels differently in a vertical way, and they work much more in the morning, almost nothing at all during the noon, and then towards the evening. So you use this beautiful gap which is there and causes that this energy is also valuable, and you will have to pay for it. So, but we have to explain this to people who are suppliers of photovoltaic, because they don't care, they just need to supply. And they also are not interested in coexistence with the greenery, and there is this effect that causes like the cooling of the environment, and this impacts the photovoltaic. And if it can increase my profit or my profit, then I should care about it. If it can bring me 10 to 15%, I mean, yeah. So this is how they understood it, and this is also the answer to your question about the shops and their roofs. And it's important to have the opportunity to provide information based on the data, because to supply photovoltaic that will be put on a dark surface, it's crazy, because it will be just baked there. And even better way is that they even cover the photovoltaic panel by metal, and so that it cannot even breathe. So the circulation of heat is even multiplied, and that's even worse. So we should take this challenge as a fact, because the market defines the price, and that should define our priority, how to do that with photovoltaic. I would like to add something. I had one vertical installation in my slide. Why the prices are negative? Because in summer I have excess of energy, and in winter I have lack. So this is for the winter, when I need the energy. Okay, fluorine is one of the most aggressive greenhouse gases, which GWP potential is more than 10,000 times higher than CO2. So, are we facing the problem? Yes, of course we are. There are panels that are carbon neutral, but they are inbuilt and they are not released. And this is released with higher temperature, whether we speak about recycling or not. But in case, definitely, in case of fire, definitely yes. So I had in my presentation a slide talking about flexible panels, which is a trend which partially addresses this. The panels are built on a different basis that, especially in the Netherlands, there are producers who do not use these backsheets that include or they are composed of this fluorine. And then the question of funding, it will, I mean, 10 cent per watt peak is 10 cent, and this one is cent for salt for 40 cents. So this is based on the green principle that is not so energetically demanding because you don't need that much energy for the polymer. So let's move on. The question for you, Mr. Sirotny, and for Mr. Bede. When do you expect the next first big wave of recycling, and who will pay for it if it was brought before 2016? So are you going to start or me? You can start regarding the first wave. It has already been here. Who will pay? That's a question which we need to address. I mean, theoretically, according to current legislation, if those are the panels from residential buildings on the roofs that people installed, it should be paid by the producers and suppliers. Even though it's a historic waste, they should pay for it according to their market share. And if those panels are from industrial installations, from plants, so then the cost should be borne by the operator. But a change in legislation can, or amendment to the legislation can change it. The big problem here is that we don't have this traditional producers, because most of the panels are produced in Asia and they are only distributed here, and they really want to avoid the registration of system, because for them it means they would need to pay for the registration fees. And as the state hasn't set any supervision mechanism and hasn't supervised this gray area, then the money in this group system is insufficient, and that's a problem. In Czech Republic they were like proactive, and except for this affair I mentioned, which was also solved by the Court of Justice, they even collected these fees also backwards, and they set the system of reporting and collection in such a way that when you pay a fee for a panel, the money collected will be used to collect and recycling panel here. These fees are put into one budget, and from there they gradually pay recycling, the collection, the liquidation of the waste which is created. And this waste it takes 20 to 25 years to build such a fund, and we know that there was a system which took those fees and then they went bankrupt and they disappeared, and we are going to lack this money. And in reality, Czechs didn't help themselves very much, but yeah, that's our own fault. It's not only about recycling, but also disassembly, and this is, I think, borne by the owner. Okay, not everybody understands that I have it. I paid for the installation or the assembly, and in 10 years, this can be like multiplied the price for these assembly companies. So maybe the seller didn't say that very clearly. And there is also different material value which is reflected in the cost, and that's the recycling fee. We, however, take the recycling fee for all panels. So now when we start the recycled panels with low value, we can face a challenge. I have one more question for Mr. Sirotny, as we have been dealing with Association of Cities and Municipalities, the national strategy of waste treatment or waste management. We were talking how it is from the collection yards point of view. Are they able to accept or to receive all or impaired photovoltaic panels? And the office of SMOS was investigating it, and they have no contract or agreement with anybody who would further insure it. So what about these owners of these old impaired panels? What do we do with those? My experience, there was a small assembly company that addressed me, and they told me, well, if a panel was impaired, what to do? They didn't know. So you need to discover where the panel is registered. They didn't know it, so they addressed importer, and the company told them, keep your panel at home until we come to pick it up. They are still waiting, however, this is still fresh. Okay, this is another topic to open, to put pressure from down to the policy and legislation makers. So let's move on, KPMG.
Panelov je jedna vec.
When it comes to panels, the recycling of panels is one thing, but when it comes, when it comes to the batteries, we haven't really handled the recycling of batteries almost at all, because we not only have problems with photovoltaics, but we also have a problem with electrical bikes and other electrical devices. Scooters, and my friend still has burned electric scooters, because he doesn't know where to put it, because we have plenty of systems, but not the system for that, and this is a problem. I will try to answer. In Poland, we have a factory that is recycling it. And also in Prague, there is a factory growing that should recycle these things. We need to realize one thing. In what stage we had panels 15 years ago? In this stage, we have batteries at the moment. And this is the information that I'm getting from the factories that test the outputs from the producers, that it's defect, and it will be getting better. And again, just to have some fun. So I like that you are opening this topic, that you open this Pandora box, and we need to talk about it and intensively think about it and find and search for solutions. I used to tell people, tell me 1,000 of reasons how you cannot do something, but and we will definitely find many. But let's try to find one reason and one manner how to do the things, how to solve the things. Now the question for the KPMG, does it mean that certain projects that will be financed by the bank will need to report the alignment with the ESG? I would put it correctly. I was talking about the alignment with taxonomy, and this is two perspectives. There are subjects that are that have to report not. They have to report their alignment with taxonomy. So they are not talking about how many CAPEX turnovers will need to be reported, but the bank needs to know if the specific company is aligning the investment with their taxonomy, because bank needs to have reports on their own KPIs. So it can help at the end or ultimately in a way that bank will give different conditions to the company who is thinking about it differently, about this investment differently. This is how we see it as a consultant and client. And now maybe the perspective of the bank, that is also very important. Thank you. I will rephrase the question. Is it any burden to report the alignment with taxonomy or the regulations? Me, as a company, I want to report that, or I want to show that I'm doing the things that in a way that makes sense. And I, as an investor, I would like to know where I'm investing and what is the quality of the output. And one of the way how to find it out is to compare it with the rules that are generally used, or with the taxonomy. And for example, now there are, like, we as a banks, in time, we are going to compete in our green portfolio areas, probably. And if we are talking about the green and sustainable, we will have some criteria that would be able to be measured. So, of course, the bank will be interested in these criteria. And, of course, for us, it's better to invest in the project that is in alignment with this taxonomy. And, of course, it can have the impact on the funding and also the conditions of funding. But yes, but many of the enterprises or businessmen do not know that such green financing already is in practice, and we are happy that it is occurring already in Slovakia in such a scope. And Libor Musil, great and very inspirational lecture. Thank you. And I'm a huge fan, but I didn't write it. But I would like to sign that. And this is probably the question for our Dutch presenter, maybe to also the guys from New Zealand. So roof gardening and wall garden companies, what are you doing with the green waste that comes off your roof gardens and wall gardens? Yeah, but this is not waste. This is a very precious material. From our green walls, we have at least 2 tons of green of carbon what is it, like bound carbon, but we are composting that, and then we put it back in this circular in the circle actually of nature. And when it comes to carbon, I'm so sorry that I'm old already, even though I don't feel like that. But now you have so many opportunities. I would just start, for example, a company that would recycle batteries from scooters. And this young entrepreneur is great that this change, this revolution that is now happening, I'm really lucky that I can live through this yet another revolution, this green revolution. And this is bringing so many great opportunities just to go and start doing it, because in the batteries and photovoltaic panels there is so many energy, and I'm envious a bit. A young man. And I would just like to remind you of yesterday's slogan that us educate consulting people. Thanks to this irresponsible people will have lots of work in the years to come. So Hugo, great job. And Likos, question, great job, but regarding green walls, have you encountered, for example, negative objections when it comes to beetles? How are your answers? The nature always sets its own balance. So, of course, there are birds, and then there are pollinators and bees, but nothing gets into the building. The building has been there for 12 years, and we don't have any problem with that. It functions, it works well. Yeah, this is what people ask most about the spiders and the beetles and bugs. And now a question for Hugo, but I think you've already answered it. Have you already thought when recycling the cigarette butts with the cooperation with the Union of Cities and Towns? Yes, they know about us, but since we are not fulfilling or satisfying these regulations in industries, yes, we have covered that, but we are still, looking forward to cooperation. Mr. Gunish, so what was, how was, this problem with the extension of school in Trnava closed up? Because what the discussion was about the additional assembly of active cooling. Yes, first of all, to start to educate the users of the building, they probably brought some hearing device for the administrator of the building, because that was the main problem, that they weren't trained to maintain such a high quality building. So yeah, maybe there were other reasons of the personnel not being trained. Maybe they were not engaged. And again, a question for Mr. Gunish, are certified schemes for buildings the only way how to handle the adaptation logic when designing and building and maintaining the building? Maybe a couple of you can answer this question, but on my behalf, the system of certification, this is just one of the possibilities, and it is just the motivation for the people so that they make the buildings in as high quality as possible. There are many more certification schemes, and it's also about the money, legislation that we, talk about quite often, that it's quite lagging behind the rest of the countries. And we prepared the certification schemes to show the way. And we also want to interconnect it with professional design that would be intersectional. And the problem of certification is not possible to be applied in public buildings. We have the representatives of municipalities, and we use this certification system to set some parameters for public buildings. And the commercial label of the certification is not allowed. And now we are handling the problem of how to define this set of parameters that do not allow to the usage of commercial name, but still allow us to create better space and buildings out of kindergartens and so on. We also discussed this topic with my colleagues. Today, what I see in this area is to share the knowledge with the broader spectrum of the stakeholders than it was up until now. So the need of transparency and the need to handle the problems related to the climate is going across the whole economy, and we need to trust the information and the knowledge, and the certification is the way that enable us to trust that this project is fulfilling some parameters. Either like us as a bank, we definitely want to support the quality of buildings and reconstructions, and either we go as a bank and measure it all, or we rely on this kind of certification. And for us, this certification is one of the very useful tools. Okay, I think that now we can conclude that this discussion, but also overall, and to say, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, these were probably the last words of our presenters that concluded the 2-day international conference of more climate resilient cities and urban spaces. And I hope that the president will say some final words. So, Branyo, let's finish it. I think that we all are tired. I can feel it. It was exhausting. Like we had 150, but only a few remained. It's a parallel. Everybody wants to be green, but some people wants to be less green than others. We want to help the environment. We do the research. It's a value. We all want to help. We all want to have a healthy environment. But when it comes to activities and to payment, there are fewer people that remain. And I don't say that this is the reason here. I'm thankful that there was really nice number of participants attending. And the key word for us is adaptation, and that an adaptation requires, as it was mentioned, adaptation requires the interconnection between the sectors. We are not just green roofs, architecture, or the banks, or the builders, construction, and so on, but we are all together. We need to know how to cooperate and how to share the information. And I'm very happy that this year we managed to interconnect with SMOS, meaning the Union of Cities and Towns, Bratislava municipality and self-governing region. And I hope we showed interesting topics. We try to bring something new each year. We will be happy if you can provide us with feedback, not only positive feedback, but also the feedback that can help us improve and grow. Thank you on behalf of all of my team, and thank you to the speakers, and thank you to the partners, Corvin, Veube, Powerlogy, Vinum Nobile, our media partners, and all that he is now listing and training his memory. Without you, this conference wouldn't come into existence. Thank you for your support, because we wouldn't be able to do it by ourselves. This is what really helps. And also, RTVS and CITA agency, these are news agencies. So there will be some outputs in the television. Please share the information in your community or on social network, so that we don't stay in one bubble. We need to put the information out there. Again, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again in 1 year. Thank you very much. And to conclude, since I started, I will also end it, because the first will be the last and the last will be the first. Thank you to Binjo. No, I want to thank myself. So thank you also on my behalf. I hope I did not offend anyone, because I have my own type of humor. And apologies to anyone that might have gotten offended. The point is that we are interconnecting, and my life story was probably not the easiest one, and I learn how to do what I do. And with you, I realized that we are not only simple 2D round. We are sphere. We are 3D. So we do not have this 360 degrees or 360 inputs, but we have 360 times 360. And I'm happy we started to interconnect and to talk, and that you started to say that we need to change the legislation, that we need to take all the things out of the drawers. And I'm keep my fingers crossed for you, because as Hemingway said, nobody is an island of their own. So that was his translation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a beautiful evening. And now I would like to ask all of you to